Hi, I'm Marlo from Wild Food UK, out foraging again. It's the 5th of February today and I'm in Herefordshire, and I've come out specifically to pick some Douglas Fir needles because I'm going to make some lovely Douglas Fir shortbread. That'll be my next little cooking short video that you'll see on the channel soon. But we're going to video what we find along the way today, and I've had a delightful start to our little walk. Down here is the first wild garlic shoot that I have seen this year. This is a wild garlic patch that is very prolific. We pick our wild garlic from here from the middle of February through to just about the beginning of May. Grows in amongst these daffodils. Daffodils are poisonous. Here's some real young stuff. That's all wild garlic there. More there. This patch is about the size of a tennis court, but I just wanted to show you, in amongst the wild garlic, there's some more wild garlic, as there always is. There's some lords and ladies. Look how similar that is. Oops, let me get another one. There we are. Look, when they're very young, they even have the same sort of sheath at the bottom of the shooting stem. That'll unfurl into a much bigger leaf. The lords and ladies does not smell of garlic though. There is a rule that we always teach though. When you're picking wild garlic, when this patch is in full leaf, you won't really be able to discern the lords and ladies from the wild garlic if you're just pulling up handfuls. It will grow in amongst it. So make sure you're picking the right stuff when you pick your wild garlic. You don't want to eat lords and ladies, and you don't want to eat daffodils. But my first nibble of the year. Let's see what else we can find today. We've only come about 50 feet and we found this stump, which is a stump that Attila would be very pleased to see. It's the stump of one of these beautiful big beech trees. Been covered in Myripolis. I did see this tree when it was standing, the Myripolis giganteus, the blackening polypore. That one is probably one of the contributing factors to this tree's death. But since it's died, it's been infested with numerous different little fungus. So just to prove that I've been listening to you, Attila, here we have our Sterium hirsutum, the hairy curtain crust. And just beside it, we have a lumpy bracket. It's called the lumpy bracket because it gets all lumpy on the top like that, and this one here. And then just a bit further round, we have our smoky bracket. So called because of that darker colouring underneath. And then here we have our Trametes versicolor, the turkey tail itself. And there's some beautiful ones down there, Eric, looking nice and fresh. Let's have a quick look at these all together over here. There's our Trametes versicolor, the renowned medicinal mushroom. There's the underside of the smoky bracket. There's the underside of the Sterium hirsutum, the hairy curtain crust. And just here is the underside of your lumpy bracket. Weirdly, the lumpy bracket is in the same genus as the turkey tail, whereas the smoky bracket is in a completely different genus. That was one for you, Attila. Look at this beautiful big tree here. This is a yew tree, and this one must be at least 500 years old, maybe more. Yew trees are the longest lived trees that we have in the UK. And as I said, I'm out to pick some Douglas fir needles today. Make sure you never mistake your Douglas fir needles for yew needles, because there's enough in my hand there easily to kill me. These needles don't have a scent. No smell at all. Whereas all pine and fir needles will have some sort of citrus scent to them. Plus, if it's in a graveyard, you can be pretty sure it's a yew tree. So in the same graveyard, there's loads of other things just coming up. That's what February's about, all of the really early shoots and some of the plants that hang around all year round. And here's one of those really early shoots. That's our lesser celandine, growing very close to its lovely, tasty, edible lookalike, our common sorrel. If I was out foraging for a salad today, this would definitely be going in my bag. Also around here, just to run through a few of the other really early plants, I've got some ground ivy here. Ground ivy isn't edible, but I think it's quite horrible, to be honest. That's the leaves of your ground ivy. It's got a very distinctive smell. If you crush it up and have a smell, you get the smell of used car showrooms. What else have we got here? We've got some Herb Robert, another edible, reputedly medicinal plant, but not one that I like to forage for. We've got some irises, and we've got, oh, look at this, loads of wild strawberries all coming up already. So wherever you've got a bit of reasonably natural but cut grassland, you're going to find loads of different plants in amongst it, and graveyards are very good for that. Let's head off down the lane and see what else we can find. I'm going to keep running through some of the real basics in this video because it's just nice, or at least I think it's nice, to know what it is you are looking at. And here we've got loads of snowdrops. You all know those. Behind them you've got some baby cleavers. Don't eat your snowdrops, but baby cleavers of goosegrass I'll happily put into a salad when they're very young. They're growing in amongst these leaves. You would definitely recognize this plant if it was in flower, but do you know what leaf that is? Most people don't. This is the leaf of a buttercup. Never eat your buttercups. They are toxic. What else have we got here? We've got some dead nettles. The lamiastra, or the lamiums. Without it being in flower, I find it very difficult to identify this. It's probably because of the size, either the yellow archangel or white dead nettle. But you can tell that it's a dead nettle because of the square stems. That's because it's in the mint family. All mint family plants have square stems. Now, just over here, we have our lords and ladies I mentioned earlier. Much more mature. You never want to eat that, but it does always brighten up your walks when it's got its berries on. And then just along here, we've got one of my favourite edibles from this time of year. There's your wall pennywort, Umbilicus rupestris. Grows all over the place around here because we've got loads of these natural stone walls. Let's go along and see what else we can find now. So we've just walked along a little bit further and we've seen this down here on this little bit of what looks to me like an old bit of hazel. That is black witch's butter, Excidia glandulosa. And it is actually an edible mushroom. I'm going to do something I don't normally do here. And have a little nibble on camera. I've never eaten this raw before. It's not too bad. Pretty tasteless, nothing offensive about it at all. And there aren't really any dangerous lookalikes for this. You've got your Bulgaria inquinans, the black bulgars, but they're disc shaped with a stem. You don't want to eat those. And then there's another mushroom called Warlock's butter, which has a slightly different surface texture to our witch's butter here. Anyway, yeah, that wasn't as unpleasant as I was expecting. I'm going to leave the rest here though. And here we've got a nice little strange mushroom and a bit of woodpecker noise in the background. I wonder if the mic can pick that up. Down here is our Candlesnuff fungus, Xylaria hypoxylon. We've got it in its asexual reproduction stage. That's when it's white, and I might be able to, no, I can't quite flick the dust off, but the white dust is our asexual spores called conidia, and then afterwards it will grow just black like these ones here, and that's when it's producing its sexual spores. This is obviously quite a complicated thing to understand, but the way I've had it described to me is that the asexual spores go off and kind of take over places in preparation for the sexual spores to go and meet and do their funky business and grow into more candlesnuff fungus. Anyway, one of our main saprotrophic mushrooms. They're very important. They rot down all the wood that gets left behind in the forest, and they turn it back into the lovely compost that all of the trees and plants need to grow healthily from. Ah! Right, I forgot my boots today, so Eric's having to do this bit. We've seen this lovely sea of green in this duck and swan pond here. I'm not going to go too far in my trainers. But what do we have, Eric?
We have watercress and fool's watercress.
Oh, both?
I think so, yeah.
Bonus.
Yes.
Okay.
So, fool's watercress and true watercress.
You know that because you're an experienced forager. You know that just by looking at them. Can you describe how you tell the difference, though?
The safest and easiest way is to smell the crushed leaves. Simply that fool's watercress smells of carrot, really quite strongly if you crush it. Yep, and watercress really does smell quite cressy and peppery. So, yep, although I'm getting a lot of mud. As well.
I'm glad you went in there. And looking at them, you'll see that the fool's watercress is growing in a rosette, whereas on our true watercress, you've got the branched growing nature of a brassica. They are in different families, both perfectly edible, but we would never eat them from the wild here.
Not without cooking them first.
Exactly. Thanks, Eric.
Okay.
So it's early February, and that's when you see the first signs of this plant. This is Pignut, one of my favourite plants. Got a lovely tasty nut on the root system, normally between 1 and maybe 3 or 4 inches below the ground, and they can get to the size of a golf ball, and they're very tasty. But unfortunately, we're on public land here, which means you cannot dig them up. So on we go. So here's a lovely find right beside our true nettles, superfood true nettles. We found a new little patch of scarlet elf cups. Those are young. There's even a tiny baby there. They've got a bit of growing to do. So I'm going to leave them today. Come back in about a week. As I said before, grassland, when it's left, is not just grass. Have a look down here. This lovely plant all around here, and there's tons of it growing in this field, is lady's smock. Now, at Wild Food UK, we call this wasabi cress because it's very tasty and it has a lovely bit of spice. And here we are. It's not been a long walk, but it's been a lovely and interesting one. That's what your walks are when you understand a little bit about the plants and the mushrooms that you see. Anyway, we've got to our Douglas Fir, this lovely big fir tree here. Easily identified by its cones. You can see that cone with these unique mouse tails, is what they're called, coming out all over it. Now, unlike the yew tree, the needles of this have a citrusy smell. When you crush them up, I get the smell of bitter orange. Now, in my next video, I'm going to show you how to make lovely shortbread with Douglas fir needles. And in the meantime, if you want to find out more, go to wildfooduk.com.